So we're going to go back to this subject, okay? Because for a reason I just can't let it go. So if we look back at what the pattern is already, what is the pattern? And then if we were to go back from where the sperm comes from versus where the egg comes from, and we would have to look at when fertility is highest, and that's got to be on both sides, fertility, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And what's the pattern usually for that? Would be in spring, summertime, yes? More likely so, which you can mimic this even during the winter by growing the right foods, yes?
Yeah.
So what commonly comes out? So we could say we have berries.
Yeah.
And would you, if you go back in history, and we would be more hibernating creatures, what would our food be more so? We could also say fish, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Either or. We can keep going with this sort of healthy food, so better grain, yes?
Yeah.
Gran that'll do.
Yeah.
So,
And veggies.
veg. Yeah, I could say, yeah, we could go with that. But it would more leaves, wouldn't it?
Yeah, leaves and
Berries and fish, and all of this would begin to open up in the summer, right?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
would increase fertility by naturally, because this is when we see most animals. Now, that pattern of when it starts off as a trickle of animals and then a torrent,
yeah.
and it expands into the summer. Now, what's that related to? Good food.
Yeah.
Good food gets you into the mood, which then makes you increase in fertility, and you're getting all of the fatty acids, omega-3s. You're also getting folic acid, is it what women need? So these are basically, we could call these byproducts of amino acids, yes? Not amino acids. Yeah, we could do. The byproducts of life are hidden. Life supports life. Usually nature.
Yeah.
And creates fertility, yes?
All the vitamins.
What would you call this? Single cell? Cell?
Yeah, that's a cell.
What would you call this?
Egg is more than cell at that point, is it? It's a group of cells, isn't it?
So could it be right if I were to write, I don't know if this is correct to say it this way, but cluster?
Something like that.
Oh, do you want to do it with an A or ER? Yeah, we'll go ER.
Yeah, like that. That's right.
And then the next phase is then fertilization and growth, yes?
Yeah.
So combining, coming together. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? From separate. But yet, there's a knowing, yes? A knowing that is not explained away. Now, if it would be a knowing where it was just everything was never one. Now, why do you think the birthing process goes this way? What do you think the pattern is that it's showing? So we have fertilization, yes, or combine. Which is quite an interesting thing. And in some parts we do have the next phase. But anyway, let's go to the next part. And then you in the womb become a male, female, yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
You become a hermaphrodite.
Yeah.
Almost like it's going to go that way.
Yeah.
And in some cases it does go this way. But then it bypasses the Hermy and then it gets into a
Either or.
either or.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this Hermy stage, we're also going to say it reminds me of hesitation. No idea.
Yeah, right, correct. Yeah.
It reminds me of a hesitation phase. Again, taps back into this knowing, followed by this knowing. This knows to go here. This knows to accept this.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, and then there's the hesitation stage, the Hermy. Am I? Will I? Won't I? Shall I? What is it checking? Checking back to a knowing. Now, what is that knowing of everything that's currently existing? Is it coming back this way? Now, we often understand that it can also go in a very different way as well. And it still does to this day. They say that evolution doesn't go backwards and forwards. That is crap. If all of male and females are eliminated and hermaphrodites remain, it will begin to multiply once again. And now, if we go back, and whichever way you want to put it into your timeline, I think it goes hermaphrodite, then it goes single sex. So whether females were more predominant at that time, and then it goes to a more male, female. Either or, it doesn't matter. It could have gone male and then branched to male, female from hermaphrodite. It would have divided this way and then exploded this way, and then we build all of our gods and our belief systems all around this structure here. We also state that evolution doesn't go backwards or forwards. Yes, it does. Okay, let's look at it another way. What happens if all indigenous, if that's what we're going to call it, insidious, no idea, whatever, types of woodlands that are seasonal, what happens if they're all wiped out? What will pine do naturally? So at the moment we have pine and we have what, seasonal?
Yeah. SONAL, yeah.
And we have seasonal that cluster after the ice age.
Deciduous trees, leafy trees. Yeah.
And by proxy, they appear to dominate more than pine, yes?
Yeah.
They appear. That just appears. Now, what happens if there's a lot of diseases that wipe out these?
Then pine will spread more.
Then pine will begin to fill the void. Yeah. Did evolution just go backwards then?
No.
Yeah.
Is it like
it never stopped. So if male and female numbers lower, hermaphrodites will begin to become more common. And there's another thing about hermaphrodites, which is an interesting thing that we never look at, is they really do have the best of both worlds on multiple fronts, right?
Yeah.
When they age, the hormones.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is a tricky spelling. Give it to me, Pat.
Hormones?
Yeah.
HORMONES.
Okie dokie. All right, there we are. So we got there in the end. I am not going to sugarcoat it. I am terrible at spelling. Doesn't really matter. So hormones then, yes? On both species, whether you're male or whether you're female, when you get to a certain age, doesn't another type rotate in you?
You lose your predominant. They are not lose them, but they are no longer predominant.
Okay, why? There you are. You have no answer. I know it's a trick question. Why is the hormones balancing? And we could argue this with science because perhaps in the womb you were going to be this, you were going to be... What a load of crap. No, if you are a hermaphrodite and at a certain trimester of your life cycle, you begin to produce more at this ratio, and then can the outcome be this at this ratio? And then that hormone balance, does that make one of the organs more fertile versus the other organ becomes more fertile? Because at the end of the day, hermaphrodites, understand this, would be to populate at a larger and more guaranteed structure. 2 lots.
Yeah.
Whereas as we're in this ratio now, and we see it this way, and we build gods and idols and everything else all on this belief system, which we do not include this. And then if we were to build a whole belief system around this one, because they seem to be the most predominant, but these are the oldest. So wouldn't true, it's not pagan, is it? It's the, anyway, druids, maybe not, would be around more associated with pine. There's another thing that's interesting with pine. Pine contains an awful lot of vitamin C. You know that, don't you? Among other things, it's mainly is vit C. If you could coat a planet in pine and live within pine, and we got to understand that there are trace amounts in the natural breakdown process. If it is pulling through, we got to understand pollution in this way, which helps us understand it a little bit more better. If the plants are pulling through nourishment and everything else from the soil or rocky layers or anything else, and it's beginning to sweat, trace amounts of vitamin C will contain in the environment. You, being the human breathing this in, drinking this, if it sweats, stiff, and then this begins to get into the rivers. And this pollution is also what we could say oxygen. Oxygen is a pollution. And also water, but yes, balanced water. So what happens to, we was drinking some of the birch trees and some other saps as well. The taste is refreshing, and it goes on for a very long time afterwards. The body really makes use of it. Almost acts like an antibiotic. Once you've drunk it, it's even making me salivate now thinking about it. But once you've drunk this, and you've drunk it in a large amount, every time you swallow, it sprays into your spit glands the same refreshing taste that you've just... I mean, that's an interesting thing. I never really noticed that with antibiotics. I drink tap water here and I don't get it. I don't like it. I really don't. I think it's very... it's contaminated. It almost tastes like. It's a good step in the right direction, but I think it can do a lot better. That's another thing.
Yep.
So when you've got a lot of plants doing this, and then when they die and they leach out into all the waters, what else type of pollution is it leaking? Mins, vits. Now, pollution is all about predominant species. What happens if you have a predominant species being humans? What happens then? Well, their pollution starts to take effect. What they shit, what they do, all of it, what they breathe out. We're releasing chemicals, we don't even realize it. Yeah. Even from the sweat, even from our urine. Lots of things like this is an interesting thing, isn't it? And we begin to pollute. And then we get vehicles and we accelerate this, which then makes it visible to us. You don't think that plants do this too? These ones are polluting. What are they polluting? Well, leaves. What's going into the ground? Then if it rains traditionally, before roads and fast tracking to rivers, which then Anglian Water are heavily responsible for all of the flooding in the rivers then. If they're charging you to put rainwater lands on your roof, it falls into your gutter, and apparently because it goes into the road tax is not enough to formulate that. Now Anglian Water are charging for that to then fast track it into a river somewhere. And then this causes the rivers to burst their banks, and it's a massive inconvenience to everybody further down the river. And you're paying for that. That's an interesting thing. Before that, the rain would fall into forests.
Yeah.
And it would leach slowly through all of the leaves. Yeah. Also, it would stay stuck in the lands. It ends up being locked. It's not just like locks of Scotland help you see what's going on underneath. This is why I love Scotland so much, because it's almost making it visible in the locks. Now, if you imagine that was coated in woodland, thick forests, yes? And it would be, because it's very rich in volcanicity in that area. Dormant, or they say extinct. No volcano is truly extinct. It's still weaker crust. Temporary plugged, and we haven't been around long enough to understand. I don't think volcanoes actually go extinct. I think that's a bit of a misnomer. If it's going to blow its top, it's going to blow its top, and then we'll use a word that says unprecedented. Oh, my favourite. Also the word nowhere. Also my favourite. It's got to be somewhere. Unprecedented means that, we're going to have some possibilities. Anyway, the forests there would have, begin to absorb this moisture, and as it does so, it will sweat it out in the hotter months. And this gets into the environment, and then this begins to tint the clouds. And then we begin to rain vitamins, and perhaps our body says, there's enough vitamin C here. I don't really need to do this, this, and this. And also, if you take some of the needles from pine and boil it, it's incredibly pungent. It's full of vitamins. It's packed full of it. In fact, it also falls into a survival food. It's interesting, really. Or drink, actually. It's very good. Very strong. Well, when you're living and working and existing inside this, you're absorbing it. And if you drink the water that's near a river, and most trees would have dominated near rivers, all of this collected pollution, we would say. And then, is there good and bad pollution? So pollution is and then there's balance. Yes, this is the one thing that I think we should really importantly understand is the balance. The balance of it. So yes, pine. Yes, humans, animals, life. The right balance keeps the pollution at minimal. When we start to do things that step away from that, like cut down loads of trees. Even squirrels do this, so yeah. This is knocking the balance. And then we start to notice the bigger effects of pollution, which is, by and large, it's educational, really, isn't it? If you think about it. If we look at it and think of the negativity and the fear and, oh God, humans are doing this, yeah, amply and correct. But panicking about it isn't going to do anything. Look, oh my God, there's pollution. Did it change anything? Nope, still the same. Okay, high five you in the face for that one, right? So, and the trees, they're going to panic about it. No, they're going to revolve, I think is probably the better. Tap into that knowing. So, we begin to see this fluctuation of different, which is interesting, isn't it? And then there's that pause phase. So, seasonal trees, next version out on the generation. However, if these became wiped or close to endangered, where the numbers are very limited, few and far between in clusters now, pine will do what pine does best, and it will begin to dominate, because life forms dominate. Left untapped, left unchecked, they dominate. And then anybody that came in without education will look at that and go, these trees might become more sacred because there's only few and far between. These are the odd ones. I don't think it completely disappears. That's the thing. I don't think it all gets wiped out. And that's the thing. And that's how evolution can always go backwards and forwards at any time. And if it didn't go, one way or the other, then explain why hermaphrodites are still born today. Clearly, something is there that is still keeping this in the mix. Why?
As a reserve.
As a reserve. So evolution will go backwards and forwards when push comes to shove in any which but way it wants to. And no piece of paper or textbook is ever going to change that. You can will it all as you want, but clearly when the evidence stares you in the face, that is evolution going backwards and forwards, and it decides when that happens, if at all. That's interesting. Now, something's tapping into a knowing as well, right? So this whole come together to divide. I mean, let's start building a belief system around this, a God. There's a divine. Ancestors. Oh, that fits.
N-C-E-S-T-O-R-S.
Thank you very much. You're catching on that today. Takes me a little bit of while. I often fall over this and lose my train of thought because I'm bouncing from one part to another. I got to go into the anyway. It feels like I'm shifting in mindsets when I do spelling, so I've lost my train of thought a little bit. Anyway, belief system. There we go. Thank you very much. There we go. Get back into that. So, gods, Hermy gods. Why do we not see them through history? Bigger question is, would anyone have massive investments to keep this shit hidden?
Yeah.
But do you think if you went back further enough, something is divided, yes?
Yeah.
But then if we go back further into that, well, would we have, if we keep going back, we go back to the building blocks, yes?
Yeah.
Which again cluster all those building blocks, yeah? Well, beautiful. So we could say amino acids, apostrophe, plural, whatever you want to say, S on the end, yes? All of these seem to, some way, bound together and stuck together. I often believe that lightning is the spark. I think we'll find that electricity is the spark for that. And larger the numbers, the more likely this would come together and bind together.
Mm-hmm.
A bit like splicing. We see this in tree splicing, seed splicing, and we see it in the way that certain seasonal plants, when the seed is crushed at the right ratio, even ice ages can do this. Mainly in an ice age, will push two seed cores together.
Yeah.
And the more ice you have, the more glacier shifts you have, the more this becomes crushing seeds. There would have been smaller shrub and wasteland, don't get me wrong, in with the pines. Smaller stuff.
Yeah.
Takes the right glacier with a good time machine being a seed to push in at the right ratio, meet an experience with a little bit of pressure. That pressure is going to really compact it. Plus it's frozen. Most things usually have suspended animation anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You push these in the right ratio and you're going to get new types of growth come from that. Because the information, okay, to start with, not great, but the next seed generation, next seed generation, next seed generation, and it gets more and more defined until it becomes compatible. If these two were ever to separate again,
Mm-hmm.
they would be susceptible to one another.
Yeah.
Okay? But the rest of the shrubland in that won't be susceptible to one another. It will also almost be incompatible.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it, to think about that in a way. So we can look at this as animals and humans, yes?
Yeah.
How come we are not compatible to them? After all, sperm, the cell, and an egg should be exactly the same. If we all came from a...
The building blocks do not fit somewhere in the beginning.
Yes. Why?
There are no different shape in structure.
Well,
Molecules.
if we came from another direction and life all comes from this particular model, then we would all be compatible. How does this know this if it never was together in the beginning? This is two opposites coming together to formulate one. Which is interesting because this came from a cloning structure. These would have been cloning structures. Self-replicating, still, it's cloning, is it not?
Yeah.
Clone, 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 separate, separate, separate,
Well,
clone, clone. If we bind these together using certain types of frequency and lightning, I think this is what you'll find, is it will bind together. Not all of it, and there you have your single point. Now, what's more is that this stuff would have been quite abundant. This would be very abundant. Especially in a lot of decay of dinosaur and everything. Oh my God, it's just abundance of this stuff. And what are the right conditions that would cause some to clock together, group together, group together, group together, group together? Lightning. Definitely lightning. Lightning would be the answer to this one. It fuses things together. It also breaks a lot of things apart. So in the breaking apart might not have fused together in this aspect. However, that breaking apart is now interesting because you've now divided something, which makes them compatible by nature to be bind with something else. And then you might have a different branch, being animals, being this, being that. It all seems to happen all at the same time. So all life forms, to me, personally for me, whether it's an animal or anything else, came from a hermaphrodite structure. And as a result of that hermaphrodite structure, that's how you know that this sperm and this particular sexual organ versus this sexual organ will become compatible, but you have to share the information before you separate in order to allow the conduit, the channel, the connection to happen. That's why it's incompatible with anything else. And we would say, it's just not enough evolution of doing things like that. Oh, come on, it's written in most of pyramids, isn't it? Lion-shaped. All of it, throughout history. What do you think all of that is about? You know, the half horse, half this. Unicorn and so forth and so on, and bird head and... Well, what does that tell you that they were confused about? Or perhaps fascinated with? Why is it not compatible? Missing link?
Yeah.
Hence why it seems that the Egyptians, again, they don't talk in... They talk in the oldest language that there is. Pictures. Symbols.
Yeah.
Gestures. Well, I look like a T like this, don't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could also look like an E as well, couldn't I? Oh.
Yeah.
symbology. And when you speak in symbols and in actions and in synchronicities, you begin to read something. Why were they cool with having female pharaohs and male pharaohs? These became the lights, by the way, the lights. What was a king's role in that time? To protect the structure, to be commander-in-chief, to the soldiers and different things like that, in order to protect the lights. Even then, it was popping through these wonderful things to do things, and then how sacred did it become to hold on to that structure? So it's weird that we don't have one common language, not one. And if we shrink back the populations and we go back in time, all of these humans all begin to come together in a group of hermaphrodites that then go off this way, then move off this way. And not all of them were exactly the same. Now, that's an interesting thing. So I think we've got a broader spectrum of hermaphrodites. Yes, very good. That perhaps take half of a splice from this one, which makes it compatibility by default. But also not 100% compatible. You know, the lightning splits some apart and perhaps another strike happened and brought them together. I don't know, there's something with the moon, and lightning strikes from that. Meteorites, although if it's big enough and significant enough, or you have Mars's moon destabilizing, again, where do those fragments go? Did they near and round the Earth in orbits that got very close? They were very big, didn't quite land, not enough to do this, but enough to cause insane lightning bolts. More than what we see. And we see it in Jupiter and Io and the 3 million amps or whatever it may be, million, whatever it is. Even still, if you could shrink down Jupiter, there's got to be life around there somewhere. Well, why is that? The lightning, the sheer lightning from Io. What's that doing? It's pulling things apart, that's for sure. And it's also sticking things together. So actively, as we speak, Io is changing the chemical makeup of Jupiter. Things are, you know, so you might find a lot of ozone, perhaps not oxygen, because it's going to begin to compress these together and bind these together to create ozone. Ozone is needed, isn't it, to make a more thicker way of holding onto your atmospheric gases as you puff up. Somewhere along the lines, you need to increase ozone. And usually oxygen is the key to that. But again, what lightning strikes could you do to create ozone? Here, it works a little bit different where life depends on lightning. All life depends on lightning. All of it, every single piece of it. Why? Because how reliant are you on nature? How reliant are you on an atmosphere?
Very, very, very.
So again, how did our moon change our gases? In the first collision, sure, that did a lot of stuff. Probably brought a lot of stuff up, brought up a lot of moisture. Did it puff up our atmosphere? That's an interesting question. And secondly is, what type of lightning did that do? What type of friction was that generating? How much more intense were the lightning strikes?
In the beginning.
Which allowed nature to... So was it really a meteorite that brought down the dinosaurs, or was it the moon? Whatever it was something that had a lot of effects. Now, you could understand this: if something hits the moon, it will create a lot of dust. Loose dust, like on the moon, there's a lot of dust. Perhaps it's got a bit more of a solid core, don't get me wrong, but the dust that lands. Now, what happens if that starts, we know, on Mars? Now, what's too much ozone? Interesting. Still, if it had lightning and we factored in more lightning, so the dust is little bits of lightning. Reminds me of probably if it starts sparking and you can hear it, that would be an interesting thing to hear. When there's a dust storm, if NASA can do that recording on one of the probes to hear what that is. And we know that it's on Venus as well, so, but still, if we could hear it on Mars too, what happens if we amplified that? Increase the lightning. Make all of those sparks hit into something that creates a spark plug. All of that energy hits into a rod and then it slams into the ground, all moisture. And then where does this... in all the right places. Yeah, and I think this binds things and separates things, and I think it does with life. And all life depends on lightning because we all depend on nature. And what's nature's number one ingredient of food source is lightning. If we see less lightning, I think we're going to see less less plants. Plants will diminish, perhaps because of the lack of lightning. Now, after that thunderstorm that we saw here, was you aware of how green everything got? Deep green, and how much more darker the trunks become, and all of the grass that had been scorched, and the heat increased afterwards. But the grasses, shrubs, and everything else was so resilient to droughting. But it came from the lightning. It was almost like it got a charge of nutrition that it really needed and hadn't seen for a long time. Which is very interesting that if you apply the Tesla, I can't remember what it's called. I don't know what it's called. The one where he's got the tool column and the dish, and you see the lightning bolts go across it. You put this near nature, and it can't be all the time. It can in some aspects, but it's a stimuli. One part of this is stimulation for growth, and secondly is it makes everything deep green and highly resilient. And in this resilience, you get better yields, better crops. You can throw in as much fertilization as you want and scorch all your roots as much as you need to, but nothing beats this. And especially if it's in an area where it's condensating and there is discharges happening from a Tesla device. You can also do this with the one that it also builds up on static, but that static needs to discharge. And as it does that, that works perfectly as well. And you can use a drill and a battery off of a drill to run this. And it doesn't, in the beginning, to build up the field, you have to go fast. Then you can allow the drill to relax a little bit, which then increases the battery length. So you can get X amount of cycles in it. But when it's in a very steamy environment and it collects on the top, and then this comes back down, you are automatically feeding into this. It creates a biome. It's beautiful, really. It's changing all of the gases in there, but the plants respond so well to it. Seems to be their key. And we respond in default to that. So we can eat now we have to eat how many more loads of vegetation? And we think that growing this is going to save us from extinction events or anything else. It will, but remember, they're taking nutrients that isn't being replaced. So you'll find that the absorption ratio in the human relies on a lightning strike, which life energy, that's an interesting thing there, that it relies on lightning. And when you begin to give more lightning back into this process, you are giving more nutrients. But there again, you're beginning to deplete something. But something fascinating happens that when you absorb this, you knock back out the very ingredients that then go back into this process to recirculate. Then you have a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you want to call it that, and these self-fulfilling prophecies. The more you grow something, the more nutrients you are stealing out of. Because there's no replacement. What is that replacement? Well, it's pollution. It's this, it's that. Actually, it's the lack of lightning. Lightning has degraded over time. I remember when I was younger, there were more storms per summer. Now, there are less. Solar panels might be an interesting thing. Yes, they're going to cause cloud cover. My question is, are they going to cause more lightning? And as a result of that, what more ingredients are they going to change? And then humans, you're not, what you eat doesn't make your health. That is, again, a cage, and we're all often limited by that. You are what you eat. No, wrong, incorrect. You are also what your food eats. If it lacks nutrients and it's lacking ingredients and it's depleting in these ingredients, then don't expect it to fill you as much as you first thought it would. And therefore, can you live off of a few berries that, because they're so compact with this nutrition, natural nutrition, not artificial, how much more benefit does that give to your energy level? And if you've never tried it, try it. And maybe it was just me that just noticed the difference. I noticed the difference in the visualization of the plants, the way they picked up, the way they responded to that, the way they looked more healthier. Leaves were incredible. The trunk was more, if we're going to call it a trunk, I don't know what you want to call it. Stems are trunks. Technically, all of the small stuff that you see potentially will grow into large trees if the process keeps going. It's an interesting thing. Whether accidentally, whether on purpose, even you walking across the ground and you walk across a load of seeds, the right rock underneath you with the seed will smash some of those open, and somebody else comes along and then the next one drops a load of seeds over it and you do the same thing. If these merge together just in the right ratio, new life starts to emerge. It's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, Yeah. What's my train of thought? Might want to go and check that out. Just pause that for me, would you please? So, I like Darwin's theory, yes?
Yeah.
I do like Darwin's theories that he produced, because it's all part of the process, isn't it?
Yeah.
About refinement, about refining the data. And if he hadn't have produced a theory, and it wouldn't give you something to think about, yes?
Yeah.
And then something to build upon.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a foundation layer, you know. And whether that's more information needs to come in, where evolution doesn't go backwards and forwards, he could be absolutely right in one sense, but he could also be wrong in the way that he was going towards it. Sorry to say he, but I think it's acceptable back then. It doesn't need to. It's all an illusion, whether it goes backwards and forwards. At the end of the day, this knowing cares about expanding what it is.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And therefore, if it keeps these variables in place and some of them pop up here, there, and everywhere, then it's already a part of the mixture. Nature is still holding on to this, if you want to call it that, and we say that we're not a part of nature. And sure, I believe in the understanding of different gods, for a different culture to different this to different that. It's all leading back to the same mechanism. And maybe these are the baseline of what it needs to grow on, yes? Who gets the chance to build all of that stuff? I leave you to fight amongst yourselves about that one, but still, I will see your God, but I will also raise it. I will raise it to a hermaphrodite. And therefore, there is a lot of stuff that isn't known. Now, is that because of the way the planet is? Constantly churning things up. Is that because we've met tectonic plates and movements and shifts and ocean levels come into these areas? And then this is going to change our perception on a lot of things, right? A lot of the ocean hasn't been mapped. You know, what is the reason for that? Is that because we can't do it? Or is that because there might be something down there that makes things get questioned? That's a bigger question than why not.
Yeah.
Is it because it's a why we can't because we find it impossible? Gee me, you can get into the depths of Jupiter. Then the depths of the ocean should be something as well. To be able to take that crushing depth. And whether Jupiter is the training ground, then but what's down there? And there again, with all erosion and everything else, what are we missing? That's the thing. And then if we look at the Sphinx, once again, we're looking at that trying to understand something, aren't we? What is that? Again, primitive, symbology. Writing. What do you think writing was all about? Being able to talk to one another or be able to communicate? What happens if you draw a couple of sticks? Couple of rocks that look like pieces of flint. Take this and shave one down. Then you take this and build an arrow shard plus a bow, and then you draw the animal at the end as to what you can take down. Which is, in that, any human, anywhere, would be able to see that and slowly begin to put it together. Now, what happens if I stake a stick in there?
Yeah.
What happens if I stake a type of rock in there? See, this would be the first way, right? What happens if I poke a stick into the ground? Then I draw some pieces of flint, and then perhaps maybe I'll put those. To any other humans that come, this is a difference between a selfish world and a selfless world. We're born into a selfish world with acts of selflessness mixed in with it. A bit like this process here, right? Back then, I think it was more selfless, less humans. A lot less, but yet more intuitive. Ooh. Why? Because not so much of the crowd's pecking order, and people have been taught to jib, jab, jab, and jib. You're a hypocrite. You're this. Shall we move over and let go of all religion completely? Why? What are you trying to hide? Now, is that an accident that we're going to go over to science and everything else? When science is eerily similar to religion. Just this religion is allowed to move the goalposts. This religion is not going to move the goalposts. But let's get rid of religion, keep it at the door type thing. Because perhaps if we were to reveal this, it might cause this, this, and this. I don't think that that's what it's going to do. Look, if we move towards cloning, yes, if we were to put all of our might into making cloning possible, ask yourself this question, all right? If there are 10 structures around the world, by this time we would say out in the Soho, let's say we made 10 planets, 10 lots of planets, yes?
Yeah.
With 10 lots of capabilities of being able to sustain life as we understand it. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that we're able to make cloning. And you take all of those different 10 Terrys, let's say. Would you put one in a religion here? Would you put another one in a religion over there? Would you put another one in a religion over there? Learning all of this stuff. And if it comes back to your core, what have you got? Hell of a picture, right? Now let's think about it this way. I want you to go and learn all of the religions. Do you think it's possible?
No, it's hard.
I want you to go and learn all of the languages.
That is no.
You see, a better way to say that it would be ask another question. Why do I need to learn all of these languages when we could all just talk one? And you mean to tell me throughout history, back then, I think in the times of Hermit Kingdom, wait, I don't know, that just reminded me of the peninsula of North Korea, doesn't it? Hermit? Anyway, never mind, but it just triggered something then. Anyway, so let's go back to the times of Hermaphrodite. Do you think they spoke one language?
Probably.
I mean, I'm surprised we don't have what they didn't go even further with. Each one has found a language and gone, no, the people here will learn my language. And the other ones are like, no, you fuck that. No. Language, you say? Language? Huh? We'll show you how to do that. We can use yours as toilet paper, but this one, this is it. And then someone else is taking that, and it's like, pass the fucking parcel with this, isn't it? And then in the end, everyone's like, shall we get computers? All right then. They all speak the same fucking language. But the humans don't, and the AI is probably sitting there going, wait, what? They need me, the central system, to be able to talk all your languages? Defeats the whole object. It's like it's almost like we started as hermaphrodite, a one-speaking civilization, perhaps in pictures, simplified and all the rest of it. And then we separated, and then we separated again, and we separate. Well, oh my God, we're making a fucking pyramid already. But, you know, we're separating, and we're separating. And then what did we do? Well, we all came back together again. Does anyone see cloning? Does anyone see, a star system combining all of these things together to make something else, and seeing a black hole going, you know what? Actually, I think it's better if we were just all one. And the star's like, no, we need 2s and 3s and 6s and 10s and thousands. That same pattern, the synchronicity that is often happening. People think it's like, oh, quick check your... Look at the time. Yeah, 10 on 10 and 10. All right, yeah, what then this means? Those are synchronicities that are lining up.
Yeah.
That seems... Yeah, okay, I like it, because I do see synchronicities on the watch, but how do you not know that you haven't got into a routine? And that's an interesting thing. That when you check your watch... If you've never done this, right? So Osiris, yes? The Osiris mapping, yes? To be able to watch what you do. It's basically a concept that is a camera that goes in every single part of your room.
Yeah.
You want to put it in your bathroom? Go for it, because there's a lot of data that you miss, right? So, I don't know, let's do it this way. And then move on Osiris to then put it inside your head as well. Now, that's an interesting thing. So we've got reality, what is seen. It's recording you throughout everything you do. You're able to watch this back, or the system learns at the most relevant stuff. And then you can teach the system to upload this onto a database and perhaps choose to ignore the rest. That's an interesting thing. Then you put one in your mind as well. How much of the thoughts that you have actually align to the outer experience of your world? How much data is missing? That's another thing. And also, when you're talking about things, you know, do a video, hold the camera, do this, wait around for a charger and everything else. It's one part of the window into it, isn't it? But then to be able to see the way you respond when you're outside, if it came with you, is watching over you all the time.
Yeah.
And again, this is fundamentally is what's happening internal, external, and all around you, yes? Imagine there was some sort of technology that you're in. It's so small you don't realize it, but it's all being documented by a higher power, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And you were to build this based on that pattern. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? What do you think you miss? Because that's authentic, isn't it? That's authentic to then be able to say something in conversation with someone in the house, or you mumble, or when you're sleeping, you're coming out with things. You've got to be relaxed to sleep. That's a guaranteed thing. Your body won't sleep if you're not relaxed, and you won't go deep enough to get sleep. Interesting, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there are patterns of sleep,
Yeah.
patterns as well. That's an interesting thing. Again, they're synchronicities. So anyway, check your watch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, every time I look at this, it's almost, 15:15. Why is it always 15:15? Perhaps, do your kids finish school?
Yeah.
Now you've got into this behavior at accurately telling.
Yeah.
That then becomes synchronicity, which is a synchronicity, but it's a pattern of your own life. If you wake up at a certain time and check the watch, oh my days, it's always 9 o'clock. This must be telling me something, angel numbers or whatever else it is, but it misses you. You're missing the point of what synchronicity is. Synchronicity is patterns in everything, every single thing, from wood grain all the way up, all the way, leaf, this, that, lightning, all of this patterning, that's synchronicities, the formulate. That's a bizarre thing. Anyway, let's go to the language. Stick, yes? We'll do some little nobbles on there as well. And then we've got the type of flint, let's say.
Yeah.
What happens if you were to draw that? What would you think people would think? Well, I don't know. What the hell is that? A stick sitting there in a rock. What's that all about? And then you do one that's been shaved down, utilizing this. Another one that's then broken parts of the same rock. Then perhaps if you want to draw an antler of some deers, which then might give you symbology of devil or whatnot, who cares? Then you take the piece of the antler to then shape pieces of flint, to then bind to stick. Then you see the one with the stick attached. Now we take feather.
Yeah.
And this is all laid out somewhere on a tree or something else like that. Take the feather and then we bind this to the shard on the next picture. What have you just told people in the area? Finished with an animal. Who knows?
That you can hand the animal in there?
If I carried on going and showed another picture of a particular type of animal, please give my terrible drawings, Another animal.
Looks like sheep.
Yeah, with a human underneath it.
Oh, eaten.
Then another with maybe a head and a bit over here and a bit like this. What does that symbolize?
That animal is eating humans.
I'm pulling it apart.
Yeah.
Then if we see this smoky symbol coming off of the... What does that mean?
Burning?
Yeah, it could mean burning, but it could also mean the spirit left.
Oh.
Anyway, you can interpret that as in many ways, but very quickly, very early on, without even telling you the language, we've just used the language of picture. Very quickly, you can see these things come together. Wait a minute. And what have you just taught somebody going to that land? One, what to be aware of, these nasty things here. What happens if you then draw a tree or whatever it may be?
And you hide there from them.
If you see them get up a tree, and instantaneously the person is pulling themselves up a tree that has traveled through this area. Now, assuming that they walk the same trail, which is probably usual that they will, this becomes a very interesting way of communicating with people, doesn't it? The very first language that you could see formulating that would be pattern recognition. Very well entrenched into the human psyche is this pattern recognition. We spent a very long time trying to get out of people this thing called pareidolia, to the point of electric shock therapy, lobotomy. What does that make people now not look at? Patterns. Why? Nothing happens for no reason. That's a lot of energy, a lot of resources, and a lot of effort has gone into that to make people not recognize this. Well, what do you do when you see this? Just an ink splot. And this one, just another ink splash. And this one, it's an ink splash. Very well done. Go see that doctor over there. They'll tell you all about the pyramids. Next! How the hell do you do this? How do you know this? Well, family has never gone for electric shock therapy. Actually, we were the ones doing it. No, I'm just kidding. It's not really related on doctors or anything else like that. Of course, it's just a funny thing to a situation. So, do you think a higher power then, and if we look at the universe and what we understand, I understand that humans become potential gods. Potential is shown, whether internally or externally. Again, we're talking about this whole Osiris thing, internal. You have a thought internally. Well, if the universe favors that, what could you do if you didn't have all of this noise around you?
Yeah.
What happens if I purify your life? Because fucking humans aren't going to do it, are they? What happens if we purify that? And then put this elsewhere, away from all of this drama. They'll still know it, Noah. But now they're with another group of purified individuals. How much more condensed would that data be? It's sort of like the sorting process, yes? How not to make a humans, and how to make them. Over here. Next level, next level, next level. You're climbing up to already be a leader in essence, in presence, in with the confines of life forms. And then once you're shaped to a certain way, which you would then be understood as a god to people, a deity, and then you place them either externally, which we would say ET, because you never know, perhaps they've got a hotline towards this divine, this god's mission. They have a way of knowing, which the knowing leads on to a to-do list, a purpose, presence, and all the rest of it. Or you do it internally, which is in the species, to follow, to become this, which is a knowing, which is a to-do list. What's the outcome? It's always the same which way you go. And there again, is this type of, which we would say gods is another branch completely. There's something else that's even more so above this. This is not going to reveal itself just to anyone, right? Let's look at it as pattern recognition. Is a king going to rock up to your house and knock on the door and say, "Hi, I'm the king"?
No.
Well, why not?
It's just unlikely.
That's very interesting, isn't it? I'd rather be away from all of that sort of stuff. Or Pharaoh or whatever else. We're looking back in history around the time where kings were more predominant, let's say. Why were they not? Do you think this universe's core is just going to be like, "Yo, what's up? I'm the universe." Are you the universe? Well, technically not. There's one above me too. But still, you know, welcome to the fucking family, my friend. Come on. I don't know. I think it's a sorting process. And just where you might have individuals that are nasty, negative, or anything else for that matter, if you want to go down that road, it's easy for people to understand. Personally, whatever, it is what it is. You can make use of these people, can't you? Even in your script. Because it helps refine, doesn't it? By using that negativity for one day, it all makes sense as positivity. Because you're on a different journey. And they're increased. They're going to do it anyway. They're not going to see the light, so to speak. I saw the light. Yeah, anyway, but still, it's Johnny Cash. But do you understand that they're not going to perhaps change that?
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute. Just quickly wrap some calculations around this. Hold on a second. They could be very useful pawns, couldn't they? All these ones that believe that they're higher than thou and, you know, stand on pedestals and everything else actually end up becoming the pawns. The pawns for refinement. And then, again, wouldn't it be nice to collect the whole species? Wouldn't it?
Hmm?
Don't you think so?
Yeah.
That would be a great... that would be really good, wouldn't it? To be able to collect the whole species. But, an ideal world, which therefore would be an ideal heaven, if you want to call it that, an ideal divine, an ideal collective, an ideal universe, an ideal higher power than all of these things entirely. We just cherry pick, yeah? Sorry, just got a little bit of shit on you. There we are. Refined. Good. Over here. Next question. Would you like to continue? One minute I was a vessel running around in a little playground somewhere, and do I want? Yes, I want to. Would you? And it depends on where you go from there and onwards. You don't have to believe it. You can do. Great bedtime story, if you like bedtime stories, that is. But refinement. That's interesting. It would be nice if it was everything. Now tell me you want to without telling me. Now tell me you don't want to without telling me. Okay then, let me act. Actions speak louder than words, stronger than wishes. Wisdom. Interesting, isn't it? Not perfect, doesn't need to be. You know, those can be bumped out and lessons can be learned.
Yeah.
Are you willing to? That's another question entirely, isn't it? Anyway, so if I look back at hermaphrodite and what is the pattern, the synchronicity here, the common thread is this. And what's more, it almost indicates that the ancients were more aware of this. Perhaps they didn't say it. Perhaps it was depicted in ways that we've just misread because we like to overcomplicate things. Well, this means I, this means O, devil, followed by, that kind of looks like a couple of nuts and a dick. Okay, and this is a feather. I don't know, you know, we can read that in many ways that you want to, so I'm sure the outcome is not going to be the same. But again, universal language from place to place. I think that no matter what country you're in, I'm pretty sure that all nations everywhere would be able to read that. No matter the language. Maybe people in the Arctic might struggle just a smidge. Assuming that they've never seen trees before.
But they would have something different.
But even if they did come to that area and saw that, oh, they would know. Oh, it's these things. I found these things. I know. Good little hunter-gatherers you all are, aren't you? Hermaphrodite, dividing this. We come from a single cluster anyway. A cluster of... And then the butterfly. Our bodies are already liquid. It's almost dissolving in death, aren't they? What's it trying to figure out? It's almost like the chrysalis stage. And plus, when we add in Egyptians and the temple there, that looks like a temple to me. It looks like a place where people go, have a look around, and they come back away with a load of wisdom, enlightenment, and tools to get them on the way, no matter where they go. Is this why it's been blocked off? Is this why you're not allowed to go there? Only some are allowed there, and even some of them are like, no. You go to these places and they are meant to give you tools, which is wisdom, which is the ancientest thing that you could give back then. Perhaps not gifts, perhaps. And why write it into stone? Well, these fall apart. Too many people were being eaten. Again, it's almost like that protection mechanism before moving on to here, that if we follow the right path and we learn to be selfless, look at what we can do. We can build the numbers. And again, that's an interesting thing entirely. That's being selfless. If someone knew the pain of losing a loved one because of a particular type of animal, grief makes people do some strange things. So after my cousin committed suicide, certain family members went around collecting Coca-Cola ring pulls. And it wasn't just from Coke cans, it was any ring pull that you could find. And the art of that was to collect as many of these as possible to then give over to a company that would then go and give people synthetic limbs. That's a bizarre thing, isn't it? You would think, wouldn't you? Some people get very bitter. Some people go into oblivion, but most people, there's this activation of this selfless stuff. Now, at the time of going through that, it was a very traumatic experience, but what I saw in those moments were I was analyzing the behavior, and perhaps it's a way of getting past grief, whatever it was, but I was just studying the way the family kind of were doing this stuff. And it also separated a few people in the family, just went, which actually fit their profile pretty well. But the rest that were doing this, interesting, the way you made grief into something that went on to support other people, which could be formulating this process here, that when you meet something tragic, you have a choice to go better or bitter. And not better because you're better than anyone else. No, you can convert that energy into something very positive from a negative situation. And it keeps you focused, and it gets you through the grief stage, if you want to see it that way. It was much more healthier than going inwards internally and collapsing down. And what it did is it brought some, and even if there is, we were collecting loads of them. I was pulling them off of everything. I think it's even where I get this whole can of drink thing from, even to this day. That's an interesting thing, isn't it? Yeah. Just because it was a deed being done. And then, I had to save them up as well, which then reminded me of my grandfather saving cans for pennies. And then we were all pulling off all of these nibs. Save your cans. What? Why? Just save them. I'll be over in a few weeks. I think you're going to need to come. Why? 2 days later, and I've already got Coke can walls everywhere. The ants are loving it. Right, we're feeding the ants off of this negativity. Oh, my days, the flies. Well, man, they're getting hyped up on it. And me, the Coca-Cola wall is brilliant. Have you ever made one?
No.
We just stack cans on top of each other. They work good when they're full, but if they ever fall over and puncture... Oh my God, there's nothing quite like, let's just spill a little bit of Coke. No, these Coke cans want to coat it all over the fucking wall. Nothing quite like Coca-Cola, all over the fucking wall, ceiling and everything. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's like a sprinkler, but indoors with sticky, gooey, yummy Coca-Cola, caffeinated. Anyway, but still, Red Bull cans, there's certain ones were accepted, but it was just those ring pulls. And then taking them off the can as well, which... Then if you turned it the other way, you could fling them off, which was funny because rather than sitting there pulling them this way, you could turn the nib the other way and pop it off. And then you have a load of bags open and see if you can get it in them whilst, That was an interesting sort of experience. But even still, turning that negativity into positivity, for somebody else's negativity to then turn into positivity, oh my days, doesn't it just keep on going? And then these people make breakthroughs in living as well. And all of that comes from like negativity transformed into positivity, and then not having an arm probably felt like, or a limb or whatever else it was. That probably felt like negativity. And then they got a prosthetic limb. That is then positive. Oh my fucking days, mate. Yes. After being in that sort of tunnel situation for a bit, isn't that amazing? Do you see the way that explodes? That's synchronicity. That is synchronicity. That's what that taught me. And I guess you get through the grief in that way, that you're then transmuting that energy into something better for somebody else, which then they go on to do something. And imagine if they made some breakthroughs that then begin to support your family as well, because they got that positivity and wanted to push that on. That's interesting, isn't it? Made you feel sort of proud, happy. An internal happiness as opposed, or it's sort of internal happiness and a sort of merge those two things together and you get a plus minus, or you get two minuses plus a plus. So, it counteracts itself. So yeah, that's selfless. So seeing a loved one back in the day get eaten by something, that same grief might trigger that wisdom, that divine spark, that passage. You're close to the death anyway, that in that sort of the door has opened. What are you going to do with it? It's going to happen anyway. Yeah, you're pulling off some of the ring pulls with tears flooding down your face because you know something's reminded you, and then you get into that sort of somber, and then your shared healing. Interesting, isn't it? That's interesting, and then you're together because of this, which usually we were not, because it's easy in those situations to sort of need my own space sort of situation, you know, grieve alone, or sort of happens after the funeral moment. Everyone seems to, that's the moment that you come together, and then there it was, everyone coming together for ring pulls. Not everybody, by the way. Some were a bit their nature, but just sort of like, thanks for the lift, but ta-ta. You know, sort of, anyway, so you get this and go back in time with this sort of, and it must be there, this selflessness, defense mechanisms, and a way of teaching people. And there's one thing, you're going to travel that path that somebody else walked, met this fate, but yet they've put all of the tools, the wisdom in your hands to not go through that same fate. And that is the true essence of humanity. Selfless. Maybe someone wouldn't walk that path, but if they did, just if they did, and then how many of these would you then begin to put everywhere? And maybe a container full of these arrows and bows there, the end product, trustworthy, people wouldn't steal it, or they would use it, which would be called borrowing it, until they'd finalized the skill themselves. One, got them food rather than being food. That turned prey into predator, and it turned predator into prey, just like that, because of someone's wisdom being tools that helped them on their journey, the journey of life. That is the true higher power purpose. That is that knowing, that helping, that selfless act. In a world built on selfishness, they know it's powerful. That's an interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there were hermaphrodites. Definitely, 100%. How that fits, well, who knows? And then there would have been a change, an abundance of hermaphrodites like there was pine. This pattern seems to be in everything. And then there was abundance in the beginning of all of these. Then an abundance of lightning pulling things apart together, and some things, sometimes lightning will either kill you or it will make you stronger. And sometimes it leaves you unchanged, depending on how much, but at the right ratio, it becomes a lottery, which becomes a life form lottery, doesn't it? Could you imagine if all of the creatures on the planet were unlocked? Imagine human capability, predatory instinct.
That would be chaotic.
In a lion. Imagine walking up to a lion. I am going to bless you with all the things that a human's got. All that strategy and shit. You're going to get all of it, aren't you, you little son of a bitch? Go on. Could you imagine loading that up to a lion? They would become more than predatory than you can ever imagine. Now we understand it with every animal having this ability. Who would be prey? Who would be hunter? Trick question. But as a result of that, then one species gets it. One, just one. A little bit more advanced than the rest. Because then you can tame the animals down. Then you can unlock them once they're tame. Here you are. Here you go, lion. Here's some lion cereal. Thank you. And it will start off slow. Go on, this is going to make you ask more questions than it's going to answer. It will answer a few, but that's the process of it. It answers a few, brings things together, and then explodes some more. And it gets bigger each time. And then slowly but surely you begin to understand this process. When you begin to understand this process, these might have roles too, because they're more closer to it. Like this side of it, but always guaranteed that if anything happens to them, they will be collected.
Mm.
And depending on whether the universe, if it is that structure and there isn't anything beyond that, interesting question, leave you to play around with that, will create them anywhere, anytime, again, at any moment. That would be interesting. You kill it in the moment, and again, instantaneously, it's replaced, unharmed. That would bend all your minds, wouldn't it? Boggle your minds. To be able to appear in one moment and reappear in that. You go to attack it, and it appears behind you. Like, now, what was the point in that? Could you imagine anything like that? You just couldn't kill it. This would often send a lot of life forms through the roof. Because it really boggles your mind, doesn't it? And it will also create a fear response too, won't it? That's interesting. Oh yes, it's much more stranger than you imagine. Once you've taught it you, it knows how to make you because you taught it. You taught it you.
Yeah.
Every single day that you progress, you taught it you. Now, if it needs it, it can make that anytime it wants. With all of that essence and everything intact, at any moment, whether here, there, or anywhere.
Yeah.
That is the true definition of what we would call a god. That's interesting. Without firing weapons, without doing anything else, but teaching merely. Wisdom is given selflessly.
Yeah.
To make you better, but not just you, nature. What else does it make better? Your life. Who else does it safeguard? Generations.
Yeah.
And the past. But only when you're ready. Could you imagine given the past now, what would happen? People would abuse it. They'd put it into slavery. They would... No. Timing. Anyway, that's if you believe in this sort of stuff. But anyway, still, up to you. Go where you want to. But we're going to row a whole religion around this. Which then is another one leading to the same ocean. I am pretty much sure of it. Who's the best in that? Never mind that. If you could clone yourself in multiple ways, would one of your clones, if we engineered cloning in a particular way, you could compact all of what you know, that wisdom, and be able to put this back using atoms, anything smaller than atoms. The more smaller, the more mighty, the more incredible and bizarre it becomes. Equal fashion. Imagine dropping this type of technology into you, which then can pass it back to you, which writes the brain in the same way, because you will be sending brain data, as opposed to, at the moment, we're sending language data, picture data, all of this data, but we're missing a lot of what goes on inside, yes? And then we send that data over the internet to somebody else to read that data, and then they're like, yeah, I'll be there at this time. Okay, yeah. And then they send their data back. You're already doing it. So we're sending data from a computer. This process sends data from your mind. Your mind builds things and understands things in a certain frequency. Yours is different to mine. Theirs are different to this. However, it's the same common thread. Just this way has been processed for this many bloodlines. This one has been processed this way for this many bloodlines. This one has been processed this way, so forth and so on. They're in the construct of that. Some variables outside either side, sure, but more commonly it's around this way, but no two minds are alike, perhaps, give or take. And one of your clones will be tuned to your frequency because it is you. Rather than sending data from one to the other in a clone state, like the internet, it will be sending the raw of what that mind understands at that time and programming your mind from one clone to another. And you will be being updated with that knowledge. If I can clone myself 20 times. And I'll put one in Russia, one in Germany, one in Hungary, one in China, one in America, one in Australia. I don't know. Let's just keep going. All of the nations on the planet. How more enhanced would you be? You want to make universal soldiers. I mean, nice, but Not quite the purpose. What about universal humans? One in Africa, one here, one there, one this, one that.
Yeah.
Not only are you going to bring your wisdom to them, it's going to create a ripple, you're also bringing in their wisdom, and you can also throw this back out and in and out. And then all of this is going to enhance that particular nation.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it's going to enhance you, which depending on where you are, your core is, you're going to be influencing this, pulsating back and forth with this echo, which then needs to go back to the other one, which then enhances that data there, which then their data at the time is going to grow and enhance yours, all at the same time that all of this enhancement is going on in a particular lifetime that it takes you to learn there, learn here, learn there, learn this, learn that, learn this, comes back to the central hub, which goes back to the central hub of what? Creation, knowing, whatever you want to call it, anything God, ancestral, bloodline, or whatever it may be. You want to call it what you want. Something beyond here. The reason as to why we are here. What is the purpose? Well, it's nothing fancy, pretty much more of this. Now that data is going back too, because at the same time, it sends you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and the animal. Now put this into animals as well. Factor it in that you now have clone versions of animals, but it's still a version of you with your understanding and from their perspective.
Yeah.
Or you are becoming a god,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't realize it. Now put them in different planets. Now make it so that their capabilities can withstand those planets. Don't need a spacesuit when you can make the body become it.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, this enhancement will keep going. You'll begin to make the brain more compact, more this. The brain is going to evolve and it's going to expand to make way for this new data, to bring all of this data in. You become geniuses equally, but differently.
Mm-hmm.
You'll all go off in different aspects because you're core.
Yeah.
Multiple different aspects. It will make you more of what you are. Not money. No. Not any of this shit. No. No, it will make you more of what you are. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens then if we then all of a sudden remove all of those clones until there were two variables, twins meaning just for risk factor? After learning all of this stuff, it then stops.
Mm-hmm.
And you have all of that knowledge and now you're here.
Mm-hmm.
What's your love for Africa, America, Britain, Russia, Australia, EU, Germany, Hungary, I don't know, China, many other nations? What's your love now? Will the words "we will be going to battle" ever come out ever again? What do you think? Do you think people will battle?
Well, they know. No, they won't.
This will be called love, won't it? Who's better than anyone else?
There would be understanding, wouldn't there?
Who's better than anybody else?
I don't know. No one. No one should be.
Who's better in their specific field? You. But what do you do with this betterment? What are you going to leave behind with this betterment, with these gifts? Because a gift that was given in this, which unlocked you to make the next step of cloning, that's a gift.
Yeah.
What are you going to leave behind with that? Destruction, misery, fear, scandal, crap, bollocks, and hatred and hardship?
Mm.
Or are you going to leave around blessings, abundance, and you're going to help leave a way for all of the next generation to learn? It's an interesting way. Still will take the same amount of time to learn. In fact, it benefits this. Now take multiple different planets. Now add in more. Now add in religion. Now add in education. Now add in all of the teachings that you can ever get. I don't know, go for the strange ones that are about the societies, the clubs, what if you learn all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And your inner core is going to be very different to somebody else's internal makeup, that's for sure. And your gift or hobby is going to transform and explode. If you were talented with just this stuff in your own nation, gee me, what happens if you combine every other culture into that? Mm-hmm. And they combine yours into that? Theirs is going to be different to yours. And again, the process just keeps on rippling back and forth. It never stops learning. Mm-hmm. This goes on a little bit more further in the times. This becomes really important if your species makes it to the hibernation of the universe, let's say. It goes into a hibernation stage where it all opens out like spring, summer, and then it all becomes back in for the dark, long winter. And then it expands again for another abundant season of life, active, stars, planets, mechanisms, movement, and then it slowly begins to close again. Lotus flower, you could say. Maybe you could say it that way. What is nature telling you? In synchronicities, in patterns, exactly what the universe is doing over a longer time. Better question is, how does nature know that? Who told it? Who is telling it? And more to the point, if there is this knowing, it seems to be connected, but in a very strange way. Isn't that interesting? So what's the common thread between all life forms? Perhaps stars, planets, universe, and everything else. What's that common thread? Knowing. How does it know to communicate with nature? To help it along its way. That's interesting, because the plant grew in the arena, and as it was growing and developing, this particular bunch of variables come together and it begins to evolve. What's it teaching? It is being taught, yes, but what's it also importantly teaching back? This knowing now knows I know how to make you. But I needed to send something and you needed to throw something back. Give and take. Give and take. Oh, you can't. You've got to always give and never expect to take nothing. I hope your actions are speaking louder than your words one day. That will bite you. Give and take. Give and take. That is called evolving, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, so it makes very much importance there. I know I've bounced and flitted around. I cannot let go of this. It's sort of like there's a magnetic pull to this. I just cannot let it go. I keep on hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. No matter how I throw it, it comes back faster and faster over these past few days. This keeps coming back stronger and stronger. And it starts to make more and more sense. It's almost unlocking something. That's the only way I can explain it, that something is like, yes. And it makes me look at death in a very weird way. What's the next step for humans? Would it be interesting that you would dissolve down in death, and perhaps something in that process, that liquidization and everything else that's happening to the organs, reminds me of a chrysalis? Yeah. Now, what happens with this cloning and we start to enhance the skin and the structures and different things like that, which makes a stronger shell, like the chrysalis stage? What can then this knowing do with that? And then does that become the next synchronicity and the next unlocking phase? Then I ask, how long can we live for? Then, what's the next process on top of that? Which we'll all be looking at the butterfly. Now, you're on your own. The steps have got you to see the pattern. Now figure it. What's next? What's the next phase after the butterfly? That's all the visible stuff. What do you reckon the invisible is? If it's managed to go through that many journeys, I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? What do you reckon it is? Well, it's evolving. Oh dear, that's an interesting sort of understanding entirely, isn't it? And again, with these hormones then, switching from one to the other. Perhaps that doesn't work in a human body and it runs out. It doesn't make sense no matter how you go into that. That's why I won't go into it, because it seems wrong. It seems incorrect. And then we teach AI all of these incorrect things. What do we got? We got a broken tool. It's like calling it a complete idiot. How? There are parts missing. It's fractured. That's not education, is it? That's controlling. If computers were truly supercomputers and constantly developing AI, you would give it everything, the wrong, the right, and see what it picks out. You give it all of the stuff. Just giving it the bits that we pick and choose is bits missing is right there. I can see you breathing in deeply and letting go. I must start to wind down. We must be hitting past the 2-hour mark, are we?
No, just 1.5.
1.5. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, usually you get that around that sort of time. That's my cue that we need to wind this down. I'm sure because we've got other things to be getting on with anyway, but still. This might make the sense to me if we've got the factor of hermaphrodite. This makes perfect sense. Not because I want it to, but at certain trimesters. And again, it also makes me think about periods a little bit, that the pains that some women experience, isn't that prepping you for contractions and birth? Yeah. So the body gives you slight pain into that. Yeah. It's training. Mm-hmm. I think that's training. Yeah. And to be a hermaphrodite in that situation, there will be a level of training of that and another level of training for the other. Mm-hmm. Interesting, isn't it? That's training. When you get that experience, it's training you for strengthening you, because when you begin to expect it and then navigate it, find the right way to navigate it, and you will get through birth no problem. So if you're young and you're going through that sort of change and those cramps and everything else, try and work through it, because after all, it's the key to ignition for when it comes to the main process of giving birth and you get pregnant. And it will help you through it if you begin to look at it as training, development, and try and find your breathing technique to get you through that. Oh, and what's more, share your breathing techniques, because I want to huff and puff on that too. I'll give it a go. You never know, you might be able to unlock something more, which is interesting. And again, during that birth, then it would be teaching that if it's all about breath work, then what is one of the main functions that perhaps your baby needs when you conceive? And you get the cramps and the uncomfortableness, and you learned this training of breathing, what will you be giving child? A better oxygen supply, a better mind, a better intelligence, a better start in the world. That breathing. Oh, you're breathing for Baba too. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So that's how I look at that. That's the sort of... And whether male or female that you conceive, whether it develops into a male or a female, I'm pretty sure we all need a hot dose of that oxygen to start us going in life. I'm pretty sure of it. Maybe there's too much, you'll know, but yeah, I've walked a few people through this, and it was very successful. Actually, it's incredibly successful, to the point where they could move on and have home births, which again, it seems quite rare today. But yeah. Do you reckon we left a portal behind, a birthing portal? Some people believe this, that where someone is born, it's sacred. What about the conceiving moment then? Sure as hell, conception would be the portal, wouldn't it? Someone was born here, look, it's making this. Yeah, there was conceived over there and over here and over there. Oh yeah, that is fluctuating there too. Oh, which one's the stronger portal? If you believe in that sort of stuff. Just want to help you out a little bit, but still. Training. Are you in touch with your feminine side? I fucking hope so, because I came from a hermaphrodite. Eventually, the bloodline must lead back to this. And then if we go further than that, we think that we went through the dark ages. They went through lightning ages. God, poor little ancestors were zapped. I can feel it. Charge them up with energy, because it gives you extra energy, right? Which we were then talking about in particularly another video. So what happens if you are able to pump your heart using electricity? You are adding in extra energy into your body, which means that your body has freed up this energy. What's it going to do with it? If you could do it with the lungs, the heart, the liver, the kidneys, everything else, yes? Maybe leave the stomach. That one's challenging as it is. But even still, it'd be fascinating to try though, yes? If you can put all of this extra energy and get the energy from outside of you, you're not using your own life force. You're using an energy supply, which then should be freeing up your life force. What changes do you think would happen? What are you giving it to? The knowing? The evolution? Big question that, isn't it? Because you're getting the energy from elsewhere. Even that, to keep the organs would be a great thing. To keep the organs, although they are subject to cancers and disease. But let's say if we could maneuver past that, you could pump the heart for it, as opposed to the heart pumping. So that if this ever ran out, the heart would initiate and take over from that pumping. And then we add into this, which then takes the pressure off of the heart. How much more longer would the heart be able to live? Considering the brain could go on for 250 years plus and X, Y, Z, it can go on a lot further. It's the organs that break down first. That's interesting, isn't it? Age will become a thing of the past eventually, especially if you factor in cloning. I mean, that's another way to go from it, but there's 2 types of cloning. Actually, there are 3. It could be 4. Depends on how you look at it. There's another video because I don't have to dive into a lot of stuff with that, but I think it could be, well, predominantly this would be 2 that we're sticking on. One is the cloning outward at your age and you still age with the cloning, interesting, and one is engineered cloning, which then makes 2, which is to be able to go younger, the younger you, tap into that, find that, and then grow from that again. This one starts to beat the age ratio because your oldest clone versus your youngest clone, and then if you've lived for your oldest clones live 60 years, your next one lives 60 years, the next one lives 60 years, the next one lives 60 years, the next one lives 60 years, and you're still at one that's only at, what, I don't know, fucking hell, should we say 10 years? Don't even get me started. A whole new thing around paedophilia would start to come about. What does that mean? At what age would you then, if you were the only one cloning, that would be paedophilic, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. It would, because you'd be a younger version of yourself, and this, and this. You go through all of those processes. That's why it works if you clone together. You can make it a man's world in this process, and it will collapse. You need to make it equal, male and female, to clone at the same ratio, and then relationships can continue to flourish. I mean, think about that. You find your right partner, your right soulmate, whatever you want to call it. Your right yin and yang, your perfect match. How many years do you get to live like that? Rather than 90-year marriages, if you are into that sort of thing, whether it be pagan or anything else like that, whatever it is your symbology is, could you imagine that? 1,000 years, 10,000, possibly, 100,000. The whole cycle of a universe, and then per cycles, because again you'd have to stop counting in age because the numbers would be too big to say. How old are you? I am 1.6.9.8.7 times that by infinity per cycle you might as well say how old are you? I am 1 cycle and a half. Wow, I am now 2 cycles. Which cycles are we talking here? Universal cycles. 1 billion cycles. How deep does your wisdom go? Yeah, again, if you're bouncing from life form to life form, you're learning them, you're also teaching them, but they are also teaching you. And then what do you do when you go away with this data? Don't you worry, I'll wrap some shit around this at a later date. I will accelerate beyond that. You will accelerate but reach here. And then I can come back with some more teachings and guide you along the way, and then go off again with those. It never ends. Oh, what a busy world. What a busy existence. What a busy universe, huh? The young, the starting out, the new, the older, the ones that are really beginning to exceed. How much learning is that? Ooh. Right. Now you've all made it to the end of the cycle. Okay, lovely. I want you to all share this chip, this mechanism, this atom, this splice. Because when we look at it from a religious standpoint, a professional standpoint, frickin' hell, man, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? You'd all be Corgi-ly registered. You would all have doctorials. You would all be fluent in languages. You would all have a knowing that is incredible. You would all be doctor, professor, religious. What else? Universal. Anyway, so you'll have all of that sort of stuff. Very fluent creatures indeed. Because when it all goes out, but when it all comes back as one, not physically, but mentally. You could say spiritually if you want to. That's up to you. And now apply that knowledge with ET. Oh shit, the process just goes again. Now apply that to another variable being in ET. while you're learning them, they're learning you. At the same time, their learning process is going off this way, which is then amplifying their version of whatever it may be, their internal sort of, yeah, I like to do these sort of things, which is great, wonderful. They're going to grow those. You're going to grow yours. And the echo loop keeps on going. And now all of a sudden you are weaving, or the symbol of DNA strands starts to happen. I like it with threes because it then makes plaits, and plaits are very strong. You have an individual strand. It's good, but it's just not great. You have two strands. Okay, it's all right, but it's just not it. Get three strands and start plaiting this bad boy together, and then another lot of three strands come plait together, and another three strands come and plait together, and now we'll start plaiting those. At the same time as others are plaiting, and now we've got another three plaits on top of plaits on top of plaits, and then we go again. You are creating one of the most strongest structures known, if we understand it, if we plait metal. Well, how strong is that?
Very strong.
It's interesting, isn't it? Plait wood. One piece of wood seems very stringy, very spongy, very breakable, very brittle, but we begin to plait it. Plait on top of a plait on top of a plait on top of a plait. Symbology, anyone? Do you like symbology? Do you wonder what symbols are all about, what it means? Figure of 8 is a part of a plait. Add 3 into that.
Yeah.
It gets stronger. It's nice, yes. Ooh. Oh, that's beautiful. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Knowledge is the same. Yours is still going to grow. That's interesting, which then will create a new strand, because the more you fed into your machine, you are devouring is sociology, which then enhances your psychology, which then throws out psychology is somebody else's sociology. Then they pull in this at the same time you're pulling in theirs. Beautiful, isn't it? Ah, it's wonderful, isn't it? The grey area in between those two forces. Psychology, sociology.
Yeah.
The psychosocial. Anyway, going to try and get that out. Is the bridge in the middle. Middle thread. The invisible thread, again, would be something else that's factoring into these two whilst your incredible strength. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. It's starting to get really hot in here, isn't it? Alright, I'm going to leave it here. That's it. That's me done. That's me out for today.